people. I'm talking about liquid. Rich enough to have your own jet. Rich enough not to waste time. Well, in my book, you either do it right or you get eliminated. They're analysts. They don't know preferred stock from livestock, all right? The new law of evolution in corporate America seems to be survival of the unfittest.
Good evening, stock traders, and welcome to Stock Traders Talk Radio here on a beautiful Sunday night, April the 1st, 2012. I am your host, STT. Joining me on tonight's program, I have Stock Sumo.
Hey, good evening, STT.
How's it going over there, Sumo?
I'm doing excellent, thank you.
That's fantastic to hear. Also joining me on tonight's program, I have Mr. Cobb.
Hey, STT, Sumo, how you guys doing?
Fantastic, sir. Yourself?
Great.
That's
wonderful.
Good to hear. Also joining me on the program tonight is Sifakia.
Aloha, STT, Sumo, Cop. How you guys doing?
All right. How about yourself?
Doing good.
That's good to hear also. Wow. Do we have a jam-packed show tonight? It should be very exciting. 2.5 hours of STT radio to start off the week here. Don't forget to catch the guys in the morning, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us under the new Traders Hub, which I think they're playing a joke today, actually called Investors Hub, as we all know it. Under Hot, and then under Auditorium, you can find the STT radio show. Now, I know why everybody's calling in. I see them all lined up in the chat room. They're here for yet another exclusive STT radio CEO interview. Doing tonight's interview is Mr. Kopp. Mr. Kopp, take it away, sir.
Thanks, STT. We're here with Mr. David Cade, the President and CEO of Aluminum Fuel Power Corporation's operating subsidiaries, stock ticker AFPW. Mr. Cade has a diverse history and background in alternative energy industry, focused on lithium batteries and hydrogen generation. In this interview, I'd like to cover the company's unique technology, the target market applications, the upcoming delivery of the Portable Balloon Inflation System 2000, and other lift gas opportunities, updates to the portable power, backup power, and undersea power applications initiatives, partnering relationships, and updates to the corporate website. Welcome to Stock Traders Talk Radio, Mr. Cade.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Well, appreciate taking the time out of your busy day to be with us. How about if we get started and inform the audience what your company does?
Yes, we are an alternative energy company that has a unique technology for hydrogen generation. We generate hydrogen and steam for multiple smaller scale applications, portable power, which includes lift gas for filling weather balloons that can be 5 feet in diameter, portable electricity feeding fuel cells, larger backup power systems for telecommunications and other industries, undersea vehicle power, again feeding fuel cells and turbines. Those are the major targets of the technology. Now, this is a technology that has been around for 100 years. It's aluminum powder and water, and we have proprietary additives. It's an exothermic, which means it generates heat, which actually has a function along with the hydrogen in providing power that we'll discuss. We have a tremendous intellectual property portfolio and the know-how behind it. The thing that we do that no one else has been able to do is commercialize this technology. We actually have products using the technology, which means we have learned to control the reaction. And the reactions for some applications is fast, and for others it's slow. We know how to do that. And we also use different powder mixes depending on the application. This is a very green energy. It's non-toxic. The spent cartridges go into the city dump. And what we do is we put our proprietary powder mixes into cans. And in fact, the main one is a 32-ounce commercially available item of commerce monster drink can. We of course get the cans empty without that drink in it, and we fill it with our proprietary mix with a proprietary stuffing. You put it into a tube, which we call our reactor or generator, and then add water, and you start generating hydrogen instantly. And we'll talk about some of the applications as we go forward. But this has, I used to run a lithium battery company. This has 5 to 10 times the energy density of a lithium battery. So we're talking, that means 5 to 10 times of runtime of whatever application you're involved in. So what we would do with this technology is displace batteries, displace diesel and gas generators, and be a replacement for these K cylinders. I'm sure you've seen them. They're like the big tanks that are used for welding. They're 150 pounds. They're very difficult to hold and carry and expensive to distribute, and they're under extremely high pressure. We can replace that. So what this is a technology that gives on-site, on-demand power. And essentially the way to look at it is we have dry hydrogen. You don't get hydrogen until you insert the cartridge with our powder and add water, and then once that's done, the hydrogen disappears. It goes into whatever vehicle, whether it's a balloon or a fuel cell, and then it's done. It's not under constant high-pressure storage as is a K cylinder. So this is a new technology, and this requires an educational process, by the way, in all of our target markets.
Now, I know you mentioned lithium battery. How about can you give us a basic background experience of yourself? I mean, how did this company come to be, or the brief history, if you will?
Yeah, well, in my own case, I was in the aerospace communications and systems integration business for a long time. I've been in alternative energy now, 18 years. 12 years with lithium batteries. I ran Lithium Technology Corporation for a number of years, and then I ran the Americas for a British lithium battery company. I've been in the hydrogen business now for 6 years. I've been involved in this technology for 8 years. Started with a predecessor company, and here we are. The company has tremendous possibilities with this technology. And what we're doing is bringing it to the marketplace with selected applications where it fits us.
Understand. Now, how about if we go into your strategic direction or your business objectives, if you will?
Yeah, the idea is to use a product such as our portable balloon Inflation System 1000 as kind of the flagship. It is the first product that we have developed with this technology. And we're getting that into the marketplace. It's been in the marketplace with one customer for 2 years now. That was the PBIS, Portable Balloon Inflation System 1000, which means that generates 1,000 liters of hydrogen. And we're about to deliver the PBIS 2000, which, as you can imagine, is used to generate 2,000 liters for Air Force Special Operations. They had a very specific requirement they wanted us to meet, and we are, within the next couple of weeks, we will be delivering that first unit along with a training product. The idea then is to look at the other applications that fit this technology, and we already mentioned them: portable power, backup power, feeding fuel cells, and underwater power, where we feed fuel cells and turbines. And it takes time to get into those markets because you've got customers that are not used to the technology. You've got to find path-to-market partners, which we have done and will continue to do. But in all of these, we are replacing fossil fuels. The U.S. spends $1 billion a day on Mideast oil. Now, this isn't going to replace all that, but it's a start. And it actually goes into the smaller applications. Ultimately, we will be using hydrogen for vehicular applications, but that's still probably 15 or 20 years down the road. Not only would it require cheaper fuel cells for autos, it requires a whole new gas station infrastructure, which will happen, but it'll take a while. And in the meantime, these smaller applications will help push the technology into the marketplace. That's why it's very important for a company like ours to do things that are totally new as you go toward the so-called hydrogen economy. 5, 6, 7 years ago, everybody thought we'd be driving hydrogen fuel cars shortly. Well, that hasn't happened for the reasons I just discussed, but it will happen. And therefore, companies like ours need to keep the technology moving forward, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Congratulations on your on what you just mentioned. It was pretty funny the way you kind of just very modest man. I appreciate that. On the delivery of the PBIS 2000 to the Air Force, I mean that's a pretty big deal.
Well, it is, and it's a very good Air Force customer because it's special operations. And what does that mean? Well, you probably are aware that all the special operations commands in the services, and they're also under a unified command, a specified command for special operations, they have their own budgets. It's not like any other major command of the Air Force or in the Army or the Navy that they have to go back to the department for approval for certain funding. Special Ops has their own funding. And so they came after us and said, we're trying to use these helium cylinders, and this is one of the things we replace here. Helium is a scarce natural resource that's running out. U.S. government has a kind of a lock on it, but it's running out, and it's very expensive now. And in the last week, you've read things about the biggest use for this now is for these large aerostats, which are large airships that are over Afghanistan that take a huge amount of helium. All the helium's going to that application, and so for the balloon launchers, they're even in a tougher bind. They're in out-of-the-way places, and they can't get helium on a timely basis. And the other alternative they have is to carry these huge K cylinders around under very high pressure, 6,000 psi, and nobody likes to do that. So they saw in our technology the ability to do something totally new and novel. And fortunately, the Air Force has always looked for advanced technology and moved out very smartly. They saw that with this and gave us their requirements. And in a back-and-forth situation, we showed them how we could meet their requirements, and one of them was to be no pressure. This system is at ambient pressure. And what we do is we put in 6 of our 32-ounce cartridges in sleeves that go inside the reactor. The reactor is essentially the generator. We add water, and within 20 minutes, 2,000 liters of hydrogen is generated, and that fills the balloon, and they get their thing done. And they move it around. It's in a hardened case, so it's a very ruggedized system, essentially mil spec.
Sure, that makes the hazmat certification as far as transportation logistically pretty easy.
Well, yeah, but the cartridges, because they contain aluminum powder, and under certain circumstances that can be ignited, although you need water and you need additives, and there's all kinds of things to prevent that from happening. But it's just like lithium batteries. There's a special shipment requirement. However, for the military in the field, that's really not an issue. They have their own transportation and deployment.
Sure. Now, can you elaborate on the significance of the sector and the specific or targeted audience for your technology? I mean, I understand the DoD piece. How about outside the DoD?
Well, yeah, I mean, the best customers for this kind of technology are what we call early adopters. These are organizations that yearn for new technology. A better mousetrap means it either performs better, it's cheaper, it's easier to logistically deploy, or all of the above. And in fact, in the portable balloon arena, the meteorological folks, and these are usually civil government organizations in every country in the world, they also launch balloons, weather balloons. There are literally hundreds of thousands of these balloons launched annually. So it's a very large $200 million market. Not all of that is addressable to us. Russia and some of those countries aren't addressable, but the military, particularly U.S. and NATO, as well as commercial players. And one of the things that is very interesting, we have a family now of these portable balloon inflation system products. I mentioned the PBIS 1000, which went to a military customer in 2010. The 2000 is going to the Air Force shortly. The Air Force has also asked us to develop a smaller system, which we actually call the PBIS 200, because yes, as you could guess, it provides 200 liters of hydrogen, and this is for launching pilot balloons, smaller 30-gram balloons that are much smaller, but the Air Force intends to use these in more locations, literally all over the world. This would be a mini version of the PBIS 2000, and would also be in a hardy case, would be lighter weight, would only use one of our 32-ounce cartridges, and with that system, we can actually get that 200 liters launched under 10 minutes. So timing is very important here, and we meet that spec as well. Now, that same product is going to be very attractive to meteorological users around the world. It's cheaper. They launch these pilot balloons more frequently than any other size. So whether it's Africa or Latin America or Asia, we think this is going to be a tremendous market. And the smaller balloon launching system could end up being the largest of the family. But again, we have developed a totally unique product, not available anywhere else in the world. We're trying to get traction, and thanks to Air Force Special Ops, I think we've got it.
I would say so too. So it's definitely proprietary then, correct?
What do you mean proprietary? The
well, meaning you're exclusively with the technology. You own it.
Oh yes. We have a patent portfolio, and it's really the know-how. Frankly, you're right, patents to give you protection, and we've gone through. We have the Patent Cooperation Treaty in Europe, and we have a U.S. patent filing and all of that. But you don't put everything in the patent. Everything though is in the proprietary know-how, knowing how to do all these things, These units are an amazing amalgamation and integration of tubes and coated pressure vessels that will handle gas, fluids. Of course, you've got chemicals in there and water. It's just an amazingly sophisticated and yet simple system. And so this is a unique product.
Sure.
And the know-how,
immediately.
The know-how, particularly, and also in stuffing the cartridges. We've had a lot of lessons learned here. How do you do it better? And it's a learning process. But we're pretty far down that curve, and we're ready to go into full-blown production. We have production partners. In fact, we have folks that make our pressure vessels. We get tubing and pipes and other things from a wide variety of and pumps from a wide variety of suppliers. So we don't really need. If I had a fuel cell company, you'd have to spend millions of dollars on a fuel cell plant. We don't have to do that. We have production partners that can do it in their facilities. Sometimes we can assemble it in our facility. Sometimes we let them do it. So we've got a lot of flexibility, and that keeps our burn rate down.
Understand. Now, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? I mean, specifically focusing on what those partners or those alliances bring to your company and how it benefits each of you? Well,
yeah, these are all major companies. I'll just mention one that some of you may know, Swagelok, which probably is the Rolls-Royce of piping and tubing fittings. We use them a lot for our piping. I mentioned Hardig cases. That's probably the top of the line case. Again, that's a part of the military spec. There are a number of folks that make the pressure vessels. We've used a couple of different ones. These are key because they have to be coded. They have to have the code of the hydrogen industry that they're safe. And in fact, my chief technology officer, John Boyle, is one of the top hydrogen consultants in the country. And in fact, through his analysis, a lot of the safety codes for the hydrogen industry have been taken. So he's a very key guy in that industry, and we follow his lead in terms of how do we put these together. And therefore, all of our pressure vessels where we have the water that we put in, and once the water goes in and you got the hydrogen in there, these are all coated pressure vessels.
It's interesting because immediately with some of the things that you're saying, I think the Arctic, with as far as the oil and the drilling, because of I call it global warming, call it whatever you will, but as the Arctic melts a lot and it allows the northeast and northwest and the southwest passage to be able to be open, I see a very big need for your technology and what's going on as they continue to go up there. So I kind of want to. I just wanted to bring that up as a tidbit. And as far as now that you're venturing into that next phase of your business plan with the with the planned delivery of the PBIS system to the Air Force, I mean, what are your expectations in the short term? I mean, where are you venturing? How far out here?
Yeah, let me just let me play on your Arctic thing, and this is an interesting thing. We'll also get into another application here. We've had customers look at this technology and figure out what it would cost to get our system up into the Arctic, by the way, and with the cartridges versus having K cylinders distributed up there. And as you add up all the pros and cons, it's a no-brainer. Our system becomes much cheaper and much easier to use. And in an Arctic environment, you would have to have protection for the water, and usually they have huts that can do that. Once the reaction starts in our system, there's plenty of heat generated, so it's kind of self-containing in that sense. You don't need any more warming of it because it warms itself. The other application, and therefore cold weather climates are perfect for this technology. The other application that is served well in that neck of the woods is this underwater application, underwater vehicles. There's several different flavors, UUVs, that's what the Navy calls them, unmanned undersea vehicles, ROVs, remote operating vehicles, AUVs, autonomous undersea vehicles. We have a technology developed. We provide the fuel for one of our partners, Ingenium, that is a power plant integrator out of Rockford, Illinois. And we have developed a system with them where we use the hydrogen to feed a fuel cell on a UUV, and then the steam and heat drives a turbine for undersea propulsion, which is a very, again, brand new technology, replacing batteries that are short-legged. We did have a small Navy contract, and we're looking for further Navy business. But we've also been contacted recently by a large marine outfit that is looking for undersea surveillance, more surveys for gas and oil drilling. And exactly, Chris, the Arctic is where they're looking. And again, this technology is perfect for that. Now, it needs to go through a development phase. And the trick is to find a player with whether it's a government or a commercial player, with the resources to be able to do the development, to get to a prototype stage. And once it's in prototype stage and can demonstrate, then it's a matter of procurement after that. And the UUV market, or that whole underwater market, is going to be huge. If you've seen these shows on TV recently with all of the remote vehicles, whether it's air, ground, the sea is furthest behind because it's the toughest environment. Today, they mainly have to use batteries, and lithium batteries. Batteries are so short-legged, you just don't get the runtime. But our technology would enable that runtime. However, it does take a development cycle. So that's a very active thing we're into with a couple of different, along with Ingenium, looking at it with a couple of different big players.
Now, beyond the technology and the products, I mean, what are your longer-term goals? Say, 1 year, and I know I always ask this when 5 years out, and that's very difficult. However, try if you can. What are the longer-term goals of your company, and how are you planning to get there from here? I mean, specifically commenting on whatever catalysts or milestone events you anticipate, let's say, over the next year.
Well, again, penetrating this first market is important, and that means as we hopefully we've now got a happy customer with the Air Force for perhaps a couple of different products there. These are balloon launchers. I can tell you that we've been contacted by other people, other government people in the U.S., other players around the world also interested in this technology, and so we will continue to push that in several different ways, both military and commercial. I've mentioned UUV power. We're looking for a home for development of that, and I believe we will find that. The one that we haven't talked much about, which actually could end up being the largest market of all, is portable power, which is basically about an $8 billion market today around the world. And this is anything from 25 watts, which is a man-portable thing, up to 5 kilowatts, which is for backup power for telecom central offices and things like that. We're in dialogue with a couple of big players in that arena. One has come to us and said, we've looked at all the alternatives. A lot of the ways to generate hydrogen end up with some bad properties that can't work with a fuel cell. They need 0.999 pure hydrogen, and we've got it. And that's why they're so interested in our technology. Again, it requires a development to take our fuel generation capability and tie it into a fuel cell in a unit. And the unit can be small, like a backpackable thing, or it can be a big cabinet or closet where you're doing a 5 kilowatt thing, and you might have 6 of our cylinders that might be much larger than the 32-ounce cans. And again, though, adding water the same way, generating the hydrogen, very pure hydrogen, and feeding the fuel cell. We intend to follow up. This is our sweet spot. There are other applications, but these are the ones where there's interest by partners, there's interest by customers, and we intend to penetrate all 3 of those markets. And frankly, the more success we have, the more likely down the road we're going to be acquired by a big player. And I don't know whether that's 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, or maybe we don't get acquired, but we will become very attractive to a big player because all these industries have big players, and they're looking for new fuels. They're interested in hydrogen, but they don't like the sources of hydrogen they see today. So they see in our system an ability to do something totally unique than they're able to get today.
Absolutely. And for the audience's listening pleasure, that piece on the Arctic was not pre-staged or anything like that. I have a little bit of background in studying that, and mainly from a shipping and logistics standpoint, all countries, especially from Asia, want to be able to use those passages in the Arctic because it saves about $1 million per shipping trip for the big tankers. So when the summer months in the Arctic are open, you're talking a huge amount of money that's actually involved here. So I just wanted to expand on that a little bit, and clearly you're all over that from a forecasting thing, and hopefully I didn't dive into a subject that was a little bit into the future of your company.
Well, no, I mean all these have started, but they are futures because these applications will become real with this technology.
Absolutely. Now, for clarification purposes, with the Air Force contract delivery expected after the first quarter 2012, is everything on track for that?
Everything's on track, and that will happen in the very, very near future, along with a training visit that's part of the deal. I'll be down there myself. We'll be down there actually training the first users in Air Force Special Ops. And I got to tell you, they've invited a lot of other players to this training session, and there's going to be a lot of interest generated. So we're very excited about that.
Huge potential there, sounds like. Now, with the initial delivery of the PBIS system, do you expect any other purchases or contracts to come to reality since the PBIS is being built specifically for the Air Force?
Well, yeah, as I mentioned, there are other users, and for the 2000, there are other military users who are very interested in this. They want to see how it operates in the training session. And so we're optimistic. I can't make any specific promises, but we're optimistic that additional orders will follow. And the lead time for that is not all that long. We've got we've got P&ID, piping and instrumentation diagrams for all of this. This is all very sophisticated, very tightly spec'd with CAD drawings. We can get a unit produced, another unit produced very relatively shortly, and so we can produce more of these fairly quickly. But then they've asked us to submit the specs on this smaller system, which would also require a contract from the Air Force. They're looking at that right now, and that would set forth the same kind of thing, but with a mini version, as I described earlier, with one cartridge to launch a pilot.
Gotcha.
Right. So, yeah, we're very optimistic that both of those will generate follow-on orders. Now, you must remember, too, the generators are the razors. The cartridges are the razor blades. Once you buy a unit, you need to keep buying the cartridges because that's how you keep launching. And all of these units, whether it's a 2,000, 1,000, or 30-gram balloon, these all are launched twice a day, 365 days a year. And so they need the cartridges. And in the case of the 2,000, it's 6 cartridges per launch. So you can start doing the math on that. The cartridges run up pretty quickly. And again, we have a provider here in the Philadelphia area that's a very, very, in fact, it's Action Pack in Bristol. They are a preeminent packager of various things, including stuff for the Department of Defense, and they are our subcontractor for building these cartridges to our specs, and we foresee that becoming a pretty big business for them.
Now, the reason why I asked you that is, in your press releases, I see you keep referring to one of your largest defense contractors as taking Alumifuel under their wing in a mentoring program. Can you explain what this is and the potential impact of Alumifuel power will be?
Yeah, this is, again, we've had dialogue with big players. I'm talking the country's biggest aerospace and defense contractors on a couple of these applications. There's one particular one, and I'm not at liberty to identify which one, but it's one of the very largest aerospace and defense contractors that has taken a keen interest in our technology, particularly the portable balloon system. They happen to make systems that go on these balloons, and there's another part of that company that does underwater stuff, undersea vehicles, and so both of those are of interest to this company. They have this program called it's a mentor-protege, where they kind of assist you, they shepherd you in moving the technology forward, whether it's they're the big daddy in a small business thing that they back you on, or some other things that they have access to. So it's for a little company like us, it can be very, very useful and profitable, and also for our shareholders it's important because they see the big guys like this technology. So we're that is in the process now, but these companies take a while to get things done. But the process has started, and one of these days that will be implemented, and we will announce it, of course, when that happens.
I have my guesses.
Right. Well,
we also noticed that you moved to a larger location in the industrial zone in Philadelphia. Did this move cut the overhead costs for Alumifuel power? And is the new location bigger, and why exactly did you guys move?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. We did relocate out of downtown Philadelphia, and it is, I can tell you, a significant reduction in operating costs. We've always been lean and mean, and we intend to stay that way. So we're looking at, in fact, several different sites in the western suburbs of Philadelphia in industrial parks that are much, much more reasonable in terms of monthly rent. And yes, all the places we're looking at are larger than our downtown facility, which will enable us to do more in-house assembly work. Now, in the interim, we're operating at suppliers' production facilities, so we haven't lost a step. But yes, a combination of those things, Chris, we're moving and will be relocated in the not-too-distant future.
Now, this question is going to be a little difficult in the sense that I know that you're huge into growth right now, and especially over the course of the next month, many things can change for you, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What are the potential or actual revenue streams that you currently have or could have?
Well, the actual, and these are all in the AFPW public filings. We were under 100,000 last year. We intend to exceed that this year, and there should not be a problem with that. Any forecast beyond that for a public company, it's not in the public domain. I'm really not at liberty to give any specific numbers. But we are very optimistic that in each of these market targets that I described, led by the portable balloon market, where we're already in there and intend to grow in that more quickly. That takes the lead, but as we move forward, you'll see more and more with portable power and then UUVs. And there's some other applications that this technology lends itself to, but we stay focused on these three because A, they're large markets, B, there are many big players playing in them that are interested in new fuel technology. So those are the ones that we're focusing on. But I can't give you the specific forecast, and in fact, having done this in public companies before, as with my battery company, it's particularly these late development, early production stage companies. It's a very dynamic moving target. What you project one week could change the next week, and certainly the next month or the next 6 months. But
understand. Let me rephrase it to a simpler one.
Right.
Based off of what's getting ready to happen with the Air Force and Special Operating Forces and the people that you're going to have there and the things that you've alluded to in this conversation, is this potentially a game-changing time for your company?
I think it is. Being very candid, the economic downturn has put us behind our original plans. All of our customers have seen hits to their budgets, and programs have been stretched out, so we haven't been able to penetrate these markets as quickly as we would have liked. But we think we do have a breakthrough with this Air Force contract. I think more will follow. That's our expectation. And I think once investors see that we've got some traction here, and frankly, we're at such an attractive share price now that it's a pretty good deal. And we think we have tremendous shareholder value to bring moving forward.
Normally I would ask about how much you made from that contract and what it's worth and those type of things. However, understanding that it's Air Force, and the certain things that you have going there, that information I'm sure you can't discuss, nor will I put you on the spot with that. The ultimate goal being to get more contracts. So I'm going to shift to your website. Do you have one?
Well, we do, and it's presently under construction. We've had some subsidiary websites, but we're now building an AFPW corporate website. I looked at the prototype here the other day. It's looking pretty good. We're getting closer and closer to putting it out. We will announce when we do that, and it will be an AFPW website. And then when I say shortly, I think we're talking certainly within the next 2 weeks and maybe sooner.
Now, what do you think makes AlumiFuel a good investment for potential investors? I mean, more importantly, if you had a 5-minute elevator speech that would represent the excitement of the future of your company, what would it be?
Well, and I've said it already in many different places in this dialogue so far, but it's a unique technology with tremendous market potential in those target markets that we talked about. We've been under the radar screen, and we talked about how we've been slowed by this economic downturn, but we persevered and we're optimistic. With the PBIS family as the flagship, will give us enough time with real sales and contracts to penetrate these other markets. We're very excited about the fuel cell tie-in market for portable power and backup power, and the UUVs following after that, although working at the same time. These do take development time and monies. But as this technology gets better known, we get more visibility, I think there's great shareholder value here. One of the things that we intend to do as we get located in a new facility in the suburbs, we're going to work the congressional contacts, because oftentimes a well-placed senator or congressman on the right committees can help push new technology. And whether that's with Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, or all of these actually have applications for our technology, as well as the commercial side. But we intend to press the congressional button also.
Oh, I actually, when I was sitting there thinking about it, that I figured that was already in play. And the reason why I say that, I've read your resume, and then, quite frankly, you have to have one impressive network. I don't know if many people know that as far as our audience, but they should probably check into that.
Well, yeah, I don't have my resume on the website, but I've had long experience in the Department of Defense and in the industry. With AT&T, Lockheed Martin, Communications Satellite, Interdigital Communications, Lithium Technology Corporation, and now Alumafuel Power Corporation. So, I do have a lot of contacts in government and commercial and global. By the way, I've done business literally on every continent, even Africa. Although, and in fact. This balloon thing, the Africans don't have a lot of money, although the French subsidize it and others, and that's why this small 30-gram balloon, the pilot balloon, is launched all over Africa. And in fact, an outfit that does sales in that continent is very interested in our technology for that reason.
Excellent, excellent. Sounds like very exciting times, Mr. Cade. I've covered a lot of information, and is there anything else that you would like to address that I didn't cover?
Well, I don't think so. I think we covered the waterfront. We really do appreciate this because this is the way we get the word out on the possibilities for this technology in this company. I think you can tell I've always been very enthusiastic and excited about this technology. We are beginning to penetrate these key markets. We need the running room to get there.
Understand, and I agree. It's exciting times, and I personally have some interest in the Arctic piece, and a lot of things that you're doing. I'm definitely going to be watching. Well, Mr. Cade, we would like to thank you for taking the time to speak to our audience, and also would like to extend to you an open invitation to join us on the radio show in the future.
Well, I would be most delighted to do this. I enjoyed this very much. I do enjoy doing these kind of things, and call on me at any time, Chris.
All right. Well, thanks, Mr. Cade. Have a good evening, sir.
Thank you.
That was Mr. David Cade, the president and CEO of Alumafuel Power Corporation operating subsidiaries, stock ticker AFPW. Intriguing stuff there, STT.
Very intriguing, because he got into my sector, which I always like when they get into my sector.
Yeah.
I was talking about the telephone company main offices and the backup power. I could tell you firsthand that we have an old, antiquated diesel-powered backup system running our offices here, which is very scary. Very, very loud, and very scary sounding.
I can only imagine.
So, I mean, I was listening to that part, and I thought to myself, well, can he scale that down to make it a household item? What do you think?
Oh, I'm sure that based off the technology size-wise, it sounds like you can go up or down based off what they have, depending on the container.
Right.
From the PBIS 1000 to the 2000, and then the smaller. I mean, there's so many applications for that. It's crazy. Understanding the background of some of that usage when it comes to the DoD and what they're going to be doing. I mean, the bottom line is this, and I was trying to, I wouldn't say prod it out of them, but clearly there were some areas that we didn't want to dive into solely because a lot of it's either in negotiation or they're in the process of that. But the oil and gas industry, as far as going up north and what they're doing in Alaska and what they're doing in Canada, I'll do a Google search on what's going on. I mean, that's considered one of the most biggest untapped resources when it comes to oil and natural gas, potentially in the world. And a lot of countries, the Arctic Five, if you will, it's, you got Canada, you got us, Alaska, you got Russia, you got Norway. Everybody's doing their claims to different pieces of that. And as you get, more into the ice in that area, the application and uses of his product, there's potentially, you could be sitting on a lot of sales right here.
Right.
No doubt about it.
Right. No, it's very good. If for any reason you missed any portion of tonight's interview, you will be able to listen to it in its entirety on Investors Hub under videos and then market commentary. I also like the fact that he said that if they took orders for different types, like smaller, let's say they had to go smaller, that they're fully geared and the lead time on that would not be that great, to get that done. So that's also impressive.
No, absolutely.
Getting ready for the future.
When I was trying to write down my notes. When was he going to the delivery and training with the Air Force? When was that happening?
I didn't catch that. I didn't hear him.
It sounded like it was a couple weeks or something like that.
Yeah, within a couple of weeks, but nothing solid on that, I don't think.
Whenever it comes to delivery of anything with the services, there's a training piece that comes to that, and that carries a cost, right? And that training will always have to be. You train the trainer, and then they train within, if to a certain degree, and as that expands beyond the particular units that are actually using the product, that you're talking more of the product, more of the technology, more of the training, very exponential. It's not like you just give it this one piece of it and it all of a sudden takes care of itself. You can tell there's a package deal with a lot of that, and the most intriguing part about it is the fact that they contacted him and wanted them to do it. That's a very big difference than going out looking for a contract, bidding on a contract, and trying to obtain it. So there's some. That's why I didn't dive into the particular questions about how that happened, what he did, those type of things, because quite frankly, he wouldn't be able to answer that. I mean, he knows the answers, but I don't think legally he could tell us. I mean, because it would cut off his nose to spite his face. I mean,
exactly. It's hard to do that.
Tell me the secret to how you were able to obtain money so the other companies can do that.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. So.
And then he also mentioned, he made a point of this, that once they buy it, they got to keep buying the cartridges.
Yeah, absolutely.
So reoccurring revenue is always nice to hear, not a one-time sale. Very interesting stuff for sure. For sure. Again, if you missed any portion of tonight's radio show, you'll be able to listen to it on Investors Hub, market commentary, under videos, market commentary, or you can catch it on the homepage at stocktraderstalk.com. You can always watch it there. It's a good place to watch it. I like watching it there. Do you watch it there, Chris?
I do.
Thank you. Good place to watch it. It really is. It's inviting, it's intriguing, and it's up there for a long time. All right. I cut everybody else off the show.
Is that what you did?
I did.
Why would you do that?
We got an hour and 45 minutes. We have, in the 8 o'clock hour, another CEO interview coming up for our listeners. We're going to take a small commercial break, and we will take a look at what's buzzing around iHub real quick. And we'll be right back after these words.
And now, a quick word from thepennybin.com. What does one penny say to the other penny? Let's get together and make some sense. Are you tired of losing your hard-earned pennies? Be sure to visit thepennybin.com and download our iPhone app, where delivery of our stock plays right into your iPhone instantly. The time to start making money is now. Please be advised that you may make huge sums of money and that thepennybin.com will not be held liable.
Stock Sumo, where we outweigh the competition, pushing and shoving our way to extreme profits in the penny stock arena. Go to StockSumo.com today to sign up for our free alerts via email or text message. StockSumo.com, where the gains are groundbreaking. Don't just take our word for it. Find out firsthand by heading over to StockSumo.com, home of the real heavy hitters.
Welcome back to Stock Traders Talk Radio. I'm your host, STT. Joining me on tonight's program, I have Cop, Stock Sumo, and Civicia. Normally, after a commercial break, I play music. Somebody has touched my switchboard and deleted all my music. Not a one can I find on my switchboard.
I can only imagine what you're actually really thinking. I'm glad you're keeping your sanity to you right now. That's pretty good radio etiquette you got going on.
Yeah, these guys on the morning show think they rule this place.
They are taking over a little bit.
Take all my music away. I get all hyped up playing that music. What brings me back to the show? And I know who did it. The quiet one.
Somebody's doing some housekeeping. It's all right. We just want to improve the sound clips and get, hey, well, it's all.
Oh, is that what it is? You don't like his music?
No, I didn't do it. It wasn't me, but I'm just speaking for somebody else. But we don't need to mention any names, or we'll just keep them as the quiet one. But I don't know. I think we must have addressed it a couple times last week how we were fighting for some new ideas and maybe get something new going.
It's beautiful. So what do we got coming at 8:00?
At 8:00, we got another CEO interview with AGCZ.
Oh, what an exciting interview that should be.
Oh, yeah.
We've been following this one for a while.
We had no choice. We had to do two tonight. Monday we're booked. Tuesday we got something to do. Wednesday we're good, and Thursday we're booked up. So I had no choice but to do a doubleheader tonight on a Sunday.
It's good stuff. CEOs like interviews. I mean, the bottom line is, a press release is great for what it is. I mean, you're able to, say some words, do your public disclosure, tell the shareholders and those type of things what you're doing. Problem is, words mean something, and there's a lot of pieces that you're not able to get that you are in a live interview. I mean, live is difficult. For those listeners out there, you guys know this, and you've been listening for a long time. It's not pre-recorded. You make a mistake, you make a mistake. So, there's pressure on. There's preparation that goes into it. There's a lot of things, and the beauty to it is you can tell somebody that can answer your questions quickly or can't, who fumbles, who doesn't, who believes in it, and who doesn't. I mean, you're able to get the emotions, connection, you build this rapport, if you will, for the man or the woman that's leading the company in some facet, and that means something, and I consider them extremely valuable to where, 100 times better than any press release, if you will.
Well, what do you get out of a press release? 2 paragraphs?
Well, in a lot of cases, too, as a shareholder, sometimes we're often left in the dark because maybe, you try to reach out to the IR or you try to get to the company, and they're always so busy. The CEOs are running the company. It's tough for them to take time out of the day to, speak to the shareholders. And for us to get a chance to hear the opportunity, I was really entertained by David Cade. I thought, I've listened to a lot of your interviews. You guys have done a ton of interviews, and this guy was really exciting to listen to. He had a lot of passion. You can just hear it in his voice, and the way that he responded. He was just, gung-ho, and he was just very exceptional to listen to. It was very good and entertaining, and I learned a lot. I love it.
I mean, he definitely has a passion for what he's doing right now. There's no doubt. And, he's on the edge right now. I mean, potential. I mean, you guys, you can read some dots there and connect the dots a little bit. You get that big contract, which is always the hardest, right? Normally it's falling like dominoes after that. And, I don't want to speculate where they're going, how they're doing it. But if you get the ear, get the audience of the players, and, I have my guesses on, the big player he was talking about, you're in the game. You got a seat to the ticket. You know what I mean? Seat to the ticket. Listen to me. A seat to the table, if you will. Yeah, exactly. So you're in the game is my point. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. He spoke about the infrastructure, for the cars and everything like that. But, when you compare that to like the electrical car and the infrastructure needed for that, I think that it's night and day difference. I mean, as far as, coming to fruition quicker. So Definitely something to keep an eye on. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll see what happens. Keep it on your radar. Love it. Good job, Chris.
Well,
Thanks.
why don't we
start preparing for your next one?
Absolutely.
Nervous?
No, never. I like this stuff. I mean, you know, no, not a. I don't get nervous for these. Sorry.
Plus, the other reason why I had to do 2 tonight because we got the NCAA finals tomorrow. Can't miss that.
Oh yeah, yep.
Can't miss that. Poor Ohio State. What a tough loss.
Oh man, I can't believe that game right there.
Yeah, that was a tough loss. Tough loss.
Yeah.
Leading the whole game pretty much, and to lose it right there in the last 3 or 4 minutes. But hey, who cares? Duke wasn't there. That's all that matters.
Syracuse wasn't there.
Yeah, I thought they had a good chance. Well, they had one. Wasn't that the team with one of their main players hurt?
Yeah, they lost their
Carolina. Their point guard was hurt, right?
Syracuse lost their center to academics.
Oh, that's never good.
No.
That is never good. Okay, don't forget to catch the boys in the morning starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, starring Stock Sumo, Sifakia, and Haas as they look through all the hot breaking news, reading the L2s, taking you into the market open, following what's hot, reading out the L2s on what's moving around, and just overall just giving you some good insight as to what the market is doing.
Out of all the days of the week to do in the morning show, Mondays tend to be the most exciting because we just see the most news hitting our screens that day.
Right. Yep. Special guest maybe tomorrow will be STT himself, which is me. Talk about myself in the third person. I love it. All right, we are going to end segment 1 of our 2-part show with a little disclaimer, and we'll be back after this. This is Stock Traders Talk Radio. To all of you out there in Stock Traders Talk Radio listening land, we are wishing you the best in all your trades, and may your portfolio always be green. This is Stock Traders Talk Radio, and we are out.
Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio. All views and topics talked about on Stock Traders Talk Radio is solely for entertainment purposes. We are not professional financial advisors and always recommend you seek the advice of a professional financial advisor. Never invest in any stock featured on our show unless you can afford to lose your entire investment. The information contained on our show is based on sources which we believe to be reliable, but is not guaranteed by us as being accurate, and might not be a complete statement or summary of the available data. Stock Traders Talk Radio advises that the investments in companies profiled are commonly considered to be high risk, and use of the information provided is at the investor's sole risk. Thank you for listening to Stock Traders Talk Radio.